Hello YouTube, Ronan Kazi. Still haven't gotten around to getting a new opening. I had a new one and I deleted it because I'm a moron on YouTube. Alright, today's a little something different. I got Diablo. I'm on a hardcore character. In Diablo 4, you can play, probably in 3 you could play hardcore. If you die, that's it. Your character is deleted. You can't play it anymore. You can't get it back. So the stakes are a little bit higher. Now I'm playing on standard, so it's relatively easy. But this is the time when I might ask you to like, subscribe, share, unsubscribe, resubscribe. Thanks to everyone that's been watching in Linux. Hopefully today you enjoyed the, or yesterday, you liked the Linux comparison where I ran Linux in a virtual machine. I ran Zorin OS, which is a popular Windows 10 replacement, and Linux Mint. And I showed those inside Cache, and I showed you that Linux is Linux is Linux, and you can make things look how you want. But we're going to talk about high risk, high reward. In reality, there's very few high risk, high reward scenarios. There's a lot of risk with not a lot of reward. Let's say there's someone that you're attracted to and you could say hello to them. You might be shy and you might not want to do that. You might say to yourself, well, it's high risk, high reward. It's really not a high risk because you have nothing to lose if you say hi to someone or you're just being polite to someone. All that's inside your head. And when I was thinking about this more and more, really there's just, there's a lot of risk. So what we do, the reason you're here, YouTube, is because someone in your lineage was less risky than maybe someone else. Maybe they didn't take a selfie on the edge of the Grand Canyon. Maybe they didn't have to be right on that edge. Maybe they didn't have to keep looking over the water when they saw the dorsal fins in it and they said, hey, I wonder what's under the water there. Nope, you come from a line of someone, a long line of people that made the right choices. You might not feel like you're in that situation now, but you can always change that. So how do we do that? Life, gaming, work are all balances of risk and reward. Maybe it's not high risk. In your life, let's say you're a student right now. What degree should you get? Right? That's when you're getting out of high school and you're going to college and you really don't know anything about what college is like and you know what the degrees are and you want to get a job. Well, is having a dedicated college degree in a very specific thing worth the amount of money you're going to pay? Is it going to pay off on the job? Probably not. Unless you're in the top 1% of the 1% of the 1% and you blah, blah, right? More than likely, if you were a plumber electrician over your lifetime, you'd make a ton of money. And you wouldn't need, you'd never have that college debt. And for the foreseeable future, we're going to need those. Why did I go to college? What did I study? I went to college because I came up in a time where I was going to the college just for the pure joy of getting knowledge. So I went to college. I went to college to make my dad happy. My dad died the first day of college. I finished out the semester. Then I was like, now what? My mom said she'd pay for college if I moved down to where she lived in northern Kentucky, Covington, Newport area, and I went to a school called Northern Kentucky University. And I didn't know. I had just taken a semester. At that point, I had gotten a degree from a place called Controlled Data on how to repair computers, so I could always fall back on that. But when I went to college, I was really interested in philosophy, political science, and really political science, not so much political philosophy and history, and really like the history of thought. So I'm really focused on philosophy at that point. And that has helped me out invariably the rest of my life. I was in the Coast Guard as a bosun mate. Go look that up. And that helped me every single day. That's why I'm talking to you now instead of just showing you that, look at me run around Diablo now and I'm putting out fire, YouTube. Right? I want to talk to you about things that I think are important, the things I think about. And I didn't incur a lot of debt because I went to a smaller school and I did something I loved, right? And the school wasn't expensive. And when I was in the Coast Guard, I didn't take a job, MOS, if that's what it's called in the Army. I didn't take a job classification that was going to translate into something on the outside. I took a job where I could be in charge of things, in command of things. And I mentor people and been in charge of things the rest of my life. And when I was a younger manager, I was not so good because had less, let's say, emotional EQ, and my IQ was okay, but my EQ was horrible. And as I've gotten older, you know, I think that I've gotten a little bit better. But the point of all that is, you don't have to put things so binary, like the high or the low, like it's a high risk, high reward. How about you just reduce the risks? When we're younger, we will drive without our seat belts. Or if you're on a motorcycle and you drive without a helmet, yeah, that's okay, but there's no, what's the reward for the high risk? It's not, you went somewhere and you got the wind in your hair, YouTube. The catastrophe is if I fall off the bike, if I have a minor thing and I hit my head on the ground, you cracked your skull open. And on a motorcycle, it's not if you're going to crash, it's when you're going to crash. I had motorcycles, I crashed all the time. Fell over, got hit a bunch of times by cars. So I'm in Diablo 4. I'm a sorcerer. This is one of my hardcore characters. A long time, if you go back in my playlist, I had all the classes that you could have in Diablo 4. I had them all. I made them all hardcore characters, and I kind of compared them. Recently, I ran a normal character. I restarted a character, a Spiritborn character. I was running it as, you know, on the basic level till I got to level 20. And then I upped it to like the highest level I could go, the hardest level I could go. Played completely different. The build I had before was different than this build. So I don't know if I'm getting more loot or anything like that. I don't know what the value other than said I did it. I had, on Diablo 3, my son and I had played hardcore and finished Diablo 3 on hardcore. So this is something that's always been in the back of my mind. But in life, there's not a lot of advantages of doing things that are high risk because the reward is usually not commensurate with what the risk is. And I don't care if you have kids or not, but if you have unprotected sex, the results are pretty major to what could happen, and they're life-altering. So those are some things that sometimes people, you know, don't consider. And let's say that you're a decent person and you get someone pregnant and you maybe get married, or you make a commitment to be in your child's life the whole time, or vice versa. If you're a woman, you decide to keep the child, and whatever thing works for everyone. You're going to be with that child the rest of its life, and then you're responsible for teeing that up. Think about a golf shot. When you tee it up, you put the ball down, you tee it up to hit it. You're teeing up the rest of that human being's life, depending on what you do. And you look at yourself, if you're not in all the spots you are, typically it's easy to blame the people that raised you because, like, that's the only thing you know. Like, you look at other people and you maybe glamorize their folks or whatever. There's all, look, and that's just one drunken night at the Salty Dog Saloon down the street. So let's not get so deep in the weeds and everything. Some things are no-brainers. Should you be off Windows? Yeah, you could go to Linux. There's some philosophies in life. Excuse my crackling voice, YouTube. There's some things in life, if you treat people like you want to be treated, that's a fairly innocuous way to go through life. If you... Right, being too risk-averse is also kind of the, again, is the other end of the pendulum. And the sweet spot is in between those two areas. And then you can take advantage. You can be a little more risky, but stay within these parameters. You know, life is in between the lines. It's not living on the lines, on the line of a maximum or a minimum. It's also the hardest thing to do, to be in that middle. I've told you that time and time again. And so if you look at my play style, if you're looking at the video while you're listening to this, and if you're listening to it, it's fine. You don't need to look at the video. But you can see what I put on the video is my health bar. So it's over on the left side. And I can take a potion to get my health up. I only have 6 that I can carry at a time. And so as I go through here, I end up using them. I get some back, but I end up having not so many, where it's going to be a problem. This game is on Linux. I'm running Catchy OS. It's on a little mini PC. It's a Minis Forum UF 870. 64 gigabytes of RAM. It has an integrated graphics card. I've given 16 gigs of RAM, and so I have 48 gigs of RAM to run on. So it runs great. Runs, 16 core processor. It runs virtual machines great. Okay, so now I'm going to fight the boss. I don't know if I was going to get better loot by doing this hardcore. I'm doing this hardcore. I'm going to die right there almost. I'm doing this hardcore just because I was doing it for a video, and then now I'm doing it for a video, and if I die, I don't care because I'm not playing this, not my main character, so this is a low risk. And the high reward is you're going to get to see me die maybe, or YouTube. Am I going to persevere? Am I going to be that YouTuber that can overcome... Oh, look, there's little health pots right there. I'm standing toe-to-toe with that boss. Let me put out my fire, YouTube. Want to thank you again, everyone, for tuning into the channel. So, do you have high risk, high reward in your life? You most likely don't, but you probably have risk in your life, and how you address that's going to help you have a good or better life. You always want to maximize your rewards, whether that's what major you pick or even why you go to college. Maybe you don't go to college, maybe you get a trade and then you just make money and have no debt. But this is Ronan Kazi. Thank you, YouTube, for coming by. Don't die, don't die, don't die. I'm not going to die. Here's where I beat the boss, right? YouTube. Goodbye.